the life and death of Jesus Christ, and it was written, 400 years before the crucifixion? Even the content of Isaiah, not only the accuracy of the translation and the accuracy over that span of time when you compare copies, but even the content of it. How did this prophet write this thing about this person, and it was fulfilled perfectly, literally to a T, by the person of Jesus Christ hundreds of years later?
Oh, it's crazy.
Yep, it is pretty crazy. So hang around, and we're going to talk about that today as Chad Wright comes on and visits with Joe Rogan, and we're going to talk about some salvation to things of understanding the word and where Joe is on his spiritual journey. So hang around and let's get with it.
Welcome to Project 77. The 77 comes from the year of my birth. It signifies from that day until death we are on a journey to always look for truth and share it to build others' faith. This is a project with everyone to find truth in his word together. Amen.
All right, guys, welcome back in here. We're going to go through here. First, Chad Wright is a spiritual leader guy that's been through his own things, and to understand about where he come from as being a Navy SEAL. And he has a training place that he does over here in the northwest part of Georgia. And he shares his story about running into these demons that he did into a barracks in North Africa somewhere, and how it really changed, how it really changed his life. But right here to start off with, we'll get right into it. Joe explains kind of how he sees Christians, I guess.
What's the point?
What you're talking about had a real result. This belief and faith has had a real transformative result on you as a human being. Now, if there was nothing to this, if this is all nonsense, and there was a method that you could use, just some sort of a way of viewing the world that would instantaneously change the way you see yourself and see everything, wouldn't that method be explored, and wouldn't that be taught?
That's a pretty good idea. I mean, if you're looking for something, and it seems like there was a way to just, have peace with yourself and this inner circular type thing, and how we could just all get along and there wouldn't be any problems, and you just have peace and serenity. Where's that at? Why are we not seeing that more of a study instead of, being the number one best-selling book in the world? Then, why would that not be the case here? So, right. And that's kind of how he sees it. And, everybody sees the Bible in their own way and kind of where they're at. I was getting this clip ready for you. The Bible is a book of stories, and it is, written by, people, and people are flawed. And Joe has, in his spiritual walk and where he's at, which is, it's very exciting for me personally as a Christian to see anybody going on their spiritual walk and learning, and they're going to trip along the way. And us Christians need to make sure that we're kind of gentle with them, but also truthful, and also let them know not to get bogged down and miss the whole forest for the trees, to have a 30,000 foot view and see it from a macro view and not just be so skewed in and tied down to the micro view at all. So this part here, he's kind of explaining, and for Joe, this is where Joe is. Okay. And that's fine. Everybody's in a different place in life and their spiritual study.
One is the doubling of the human brain over a period of 2 million years. That's a crazy one. One of the things that I always wonder when you're reading, particularly the really old text, when it gets into like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it gets into the Old Testament, and even stuff that's before that, it's like, what were they trying to remember? Because you got to remember, before this stuff was even written down, it was an oral history for about 1,000 years. What was the original story?
I think we got the original story. Is there some stuff missing? Is there a part of this that we don't know every little thing about it? Sure. And there was some things that are lost, and there's some things that was not added. There's even books, that we found from, the Ethiopia over there from some books that they're stories from a friend of an aunt that was handed down to a cousin and an uncle. And after it goes through 2 or 3 different hands, assembling the Bible and the group that King James put together and that type stuff, they found it probably best if we didn't use probably third-hand stories or more. We're going to have to take some of these as I was there and I seen, Jesus talking to the people, and here's what, him and Matthew went through, and here's some things that he dealt with. But 4th and 5th hand stories, there are some, and they didn't get put in there. So that leads Joe to thinking that, well, what is the real story? Like he feels that there's something more, something big that we're missing. And it's okay to be curious. And Chad, points that out on there. It is okay to be curious. I'm going to say, because I think Chad, he missed this, but he was nervous. He's on Joe Rogan. You're on the biggest platform, probably one of the biggest in the world. I mean, it's got a huge platform, but you need to say all those things are fine and dandy, and you're asking about a story that's looking to be told. Well, but there's enough of the story there to let us know that Christ is through the whole book, that he had to come and there had to be a sacrifice because man was never perfect enough. There's nothing about us good enough to make it to heaven just by following laws and rules and reading books and going on certain days or all these weird laws that they had, back in the day. I just wish that he would have spoke up and said, yeah, that's okay. And to think that, but do we already not have enough of the story? I mean, Christ came and he died, and it's a search on our own personal journey of our salvation. Don't get bogged down in the weeds, don't get off the track into something else.
And that's where I think the truth is. I think there's truth.
Well, the book is the truth.
I think these people were making up myths and fairy tales. I think that's a silly way to think about it. I think it's much more likely that some immense events had happened over the course of human history, and these people were trying to document it with whatever limited ability to express themselves that they had at the time.
Yeah.
There's something there. It's just the problem I always have with all religions is man.
Jesus did too, brother. That was his whole purpose and whole right of coming, because they kept messing it up. They wrote too many laws and made too many rules, and you have to do this and you got to do that. I think the Jews have like 740 something different laws or rules. He's right. Religion has always messed everything up. Jesus didn't. Jesus simplifies that. It's pretty simple. Find Christ, set your North Star on him and learning his way and his teachings and his truth through studying his word, and, go meet with other people and talk to other people that's more along their spiritual journey than you are. And that's how you grow and become, a better studier and having more knowledge of his word. It is. Somebody needs to tell him that. And I'm sure he's been going to church, so I'm sure somebody along the way. And they talk about it's okay to be curious and stuff, but I'm just saying it can't be the whole reason you ever sit down and want to study his word. The whole reason is just because it's the initial reason, because you're curious. But at some point, you got to make that step, of faith. And that's just where it's at, man. It's faith. Well, to me, I mean, if you was going to tell a story of, this great Savior, if you was going to tell this great story,
whatever limited ability to express themselves that they had at the time.
Yeah.
There's something there. It's just the problem I always have with all religions is man, the tongue of man.
And that's why Christ came. Because they messed it all up, made it way too complicated.
Is human beings and our desire to, we use right things that make ourselves look better than we should. History is written by the winners. It's very difficult to know, what was the genesis of it? What was the original thing that they were trying to write down? But I think there's truth in the original thing.
Man,
yeah, there's truth in the original part of it. He's on the right area. He's in Joe's studying and he's really curious and he's on the right field. Now he hadn't got in the he's in the ballpark of where all the fields are. He hadn't got into the game yet. I don't know his heart, so I'm not going to say that. I was going to say, well, I don't think he's fully committed himself to it. It don't seem like he has. But what I know, I don't know. He may be, he may be have asked for forgiveness and he's moved on in his life and he's living the good life. I mean, he's saved. I don't know.
There's certain things that you can do both to change your life and to inspire others. Like there's a reason for those instincts. They're not necessarily even self-serving. A lot of them are community serving. And that's in a way self-serving because the more healthy your community is, the better you'll feel, the better your life will be. There's reward systems that are built into our tribal nature. Yeah. And there's a lot of good to that. And I think, like I said before, like if you do follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, you will have a better life. If you believe it, you will, and you live by it, you will have a better life.
But you'll make you a better person and those kind of things. You'll have a better life. And Joe's talking about having a better life here. And he's right. Most of these people that we see on the news that they're got funky hair colors and, all that kind of stuff. They're usually not real happy people, it seems like. Right. But people that are Christians, it sure does seem like that they are not having a problem with a lot of things. Now, sure, there's still some things, but not a lot because, we all have stuff going on. But it's just a general thumb rule that you can have a better, easier life while you're here. But living and surviving here is impossible because it don't matter what your religious faith is. It don't matter. None of that matters at all. Zero. None of that. Salvation and the following and teachings of Christ and believing him and taking him in your heart, that's just what matters. Everything he's saying there, it is true, but it should not be important. It can't be important, Joe. Because then you're doing it for what reasons? If some of those people are doing that just to be good people and have a good life here, the hell is going to be full of a lot of good people. Look, guys, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Just hit the little thumbs up button right there. And it would do me good to know that people are watching and they enjoy the content that I am passionate about and I'm putting out here. Don't cost you anything. Just hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it.
But there's that weird jump that you have to make, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's he talking about? Wait, what did he just say? What did he say? Hey, listen, you're in the back over there. What did he say? The jump. Let's go. What is he talking about? Let me go back to that. What is Joe saying?
Teachings of Jesus Christ. You will have a better life. If you believe it, you will, and you live by it, you will have a better life. But there's that weird jump that you have to make, right? There's the weird jump.
Hey, over there, you hear me? He said there's a weird jump. What is he talking about, Matt?
Well, you have to abandon this critical thinking and logical mind
of just being a good person and just doing the right things and going to church on Sunday and, everything's fruity and hunky-dory and, hey, good evening, brother. Good to see you today. How's the kids? Hey, look at there. Little Jessica, you're doing great there. Hey, here's a piece of candy. Good to see y'all. You're just going through the motions. And Christ told them that their cup was beautiful with jewels all over it, and it's gold, and it's great. But the inside of the cup is rotten wood. It is no good because none of that matters. Because if you don't make that jump, tell them again back there, if you don't make that jump, at some point in your journey with Christ and your studies and teachings and learning, you've got to submit and just believe by faith and grace, ye are saved. You got to make that. You're not nothing without it.
And accept that there's an extreme value in living this way. And it hasn't been around for all these years by accident. And I really do believe that at the origins, and we all wish we could know. We could hear it. Like, that's the frustrating thing about it. This is all really the word of God. Like, hey, come back and give us a refresher course. How about?
Oh, that would be great. But here's the thing with that, because Joe just said something that hits everybody. Me, hello. I'm just talking out loud here. I can be the guy in the back here raising my hand. I'm hearing you, Lord. You're talking to me. Why can't you just speak up sometimes and just, Lord, I just need a miracle. And what you're looking for is some grand design, is some huge miracle that's going to make you then a believer. But then, are you really a believer in God the Father, and you're submitting yourself to him as Christ did, him being God on flesh on the earth, him bridging that gap to him, to the Father? Well, then are you just always looking for miracles and wonders? And then you're worshiping the guy, Jesus Christ, this fleshly component that was walking around here on earth? You don't think he could have walked around during his time here on earth and healed every human on earth at one time? He could have just breathed and went, whew, everybody on earth's healed from everything. Never no more nothing. Never no leprosy. Never anything. Just with this. But that's not going to build you and to put you where you need to be, because you have to have faith. Because dragging somebody to love you and pulling on that cord, love me, I swear to God, you'll love me. That don't work. It works the same way as picking up your Bible and hitting somebody with it. Hey, man, listen, Jesus, what are you doing, you idiot? God loves you. Stop sinning like that. That's what you're thinking, but that don't work. That don't work at all. So it would be great to just have this great refresher course, and Jesus just come back and say, hey, everything you're studying, you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing. We just want some kind of assurance. The assurance of seeing God is to know that you breathe in the morning. He's give you life. We see the tree leaves moving around outside my window right now, but I can't see the wind because I have faith that the wind is blowing, because I'm not crazy, because I see the leaves moving. You got to go out there on faith.
Stuff up and getting to the root of questions and things. And, you talked about that whole, that transition from just like living it out to have a better life to all of a sudden like placing your entire hope in this message of the gospel. Like, that's that transition that I was talking about, that you can't choose.
Yep. You just do, or you can't, you don't, man. Complete sacrifice.
You know what I mean? Like, yes. So you're summarizing all of this so well, man. And
Joe's in the park, man. He's right there. He is right on the whole piece of it.
Makes what they want to make out of the scriptures in order to control people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like, for sure, huge, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's also the issue of mega pastors.
Yeah.
Preacher, you think about like a Joel Osteen type character, it's on the far spectrum, fringe figure.
Yeah.
Rolls Royces, private jets, remotely Christian, right? To amass billions of dollars and enormous plots of land and have huge houses. And
let's see, Duplantis.
Is he a comic?
Oh no, he's
off the charts. Sam Kinison started out as a tent preacher.
Like, I get what you're saying, man. Like, and how religion is used to control people.
Yeah.
In some ways,
you can make anything out of anything. But here's the thing. Here's how I would respond to you as a Christian.
Yes, pay attention right here. Now, hey, God bless Chad for even having the guts and God to put him in the situation to go on Joe Rogan. And this part here, this may, if just this 20-second, 30-second speech goes anywhere, this would be all worth him being there. Just this part. Okay.
Yes, you are right. I am a hypocrite. I am a liar. I am a cheater. Now, I'm not really a thief per se. I don't steal. I covet people, the things that they have, the things of this world. I hate. I I do all of those things.
Because we're all fallen creations. We're all creatures of this messed up pile of rock, third rock from the sun that we're all floating around on. But
that's the point. Like in that realization of who I am, it's that revelation is the foundation of my clinging to Christ.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Like, because we're needing. We need him. We need that to be forgiven. Christ paid the ultimate price. Christ went to court for you, and if you're on drug court or you're doing something in that line of your work or that's where what's happened to you in your life, I'm sorry. But imagine this, going up there and you're saying, I got trial today and I know I'm going to have to go. It's not going to be good. I don't know what I'm going to do. You show up to court and you stand up there. Judge comes in. Hear ye. The Honorable Judge Blockendole there is here. All right, we got your case on the docket here today, number 146382. Says here it says here you're free. This guy, some guy, who was it? Come by, Janet. Sorry, sir. Some guy named Jesus Christ came by and paid everything that you have done wrong in full. He paid your bond and bail. No drug court, no fines, no nothing. What? Who was it? Janet, Jesus Christ, he came by. Jesus give you all that opportunity for the Almighty, the Judge, to read that out. We're all needy of him. And we all know that we all mess up every day. But through him, because that's why those laws didn't work, because we can't keep them. We can't keep them perfectly because we're sinners and hypocrites and we're liars and cheaters and murderers. We kill each other for money and land and drugs and clothes and shoes and just nothing. We don't even know what we're even doing here half the time. But Christ gave us that road, an option not to have death, to be taken us away so that we all know that we can have glory after. Because we are all smug pieces of crap. Not one thread of our being, flesh, is useful. Nothing. It's sin. The number of man, 6. We're sinful. We've been stricken on the hill to walk around the rest of our life and having to work and sweat for a living to make money to feed ourselves because it's not what was intended. Because to have a true loving relationship with somebody, they have to have choice to love you or not. You can't possess people. Christ is not in the possession business. As if Satan cannot create anything. He's a liar. He's a destroyer. He melts things. He destroys things, your soul, your mind, your idea, your identity of who you are through drinking and drugs and lies. Through one drop of the truth, one little sprinkle of the size of the head of that pen of the truth he can put in it to make you go, well, maybe it is right. Because we're the needed people of the Spirit of Jesus. Because he came to give you an opportunity and it's there for the taking. You just have to ask.
Clinging to, do I want to do those things? No, I don't want to do those things. But there is something in me. There is a remnant in me that leads me to do things that I don't want to do. And the things that I want to do, I don't actually do. Now, not 100% of the time.
Right.
Like that's not my desire. But when I do those things now, the difference is my response to them. So like, I told you how wicked I used to be. Well, used to be if I had an argument with my wife, maybe I was rushing out the door and maybe I yelled at my wife.
Now that part he's talking about having a fight with his wife and then going out and just forgetting about it and going on and drinking and going on a big bender trip or something. But when you're saved, you go out the truck and you go, I shouldn't have done that. I was really being a butthole. That's having a conscience about what you're doing, having a thoughtful, thinking, prolific mind action. That the Holy Spirit is really part of you. So when you sit down and do something, you got a gut feeling it's wrong. You kind of don't think it's right. It's not. That's because the Spirit has convicted you. Okay. Now this one here is Joe was talking about the worldview of Christians and how it's just a fallen creation, and it's just where we're at. So this is this next part here. So
what you're saying is one of the best examples of the power of being a Christian. What I'm talking about is the general perception of people on the outside that don't maybe hang out mostly in secular circles. Maybe they have a bunch of friends that are atheists, and they see religion as this big scam.
Yeah.
And he's talking about himself. This is the journey he's on. He hangs out with a lot of unbelievers, and God's dealing with him, and he knows that being around those people, they question what he does, and like, well, really, why are you kind of getting into this now? And he's like, I don't know. It's just kind of where I'm at, man. I'm just kind of drawn to this, this peaceful lifestyle,
And because the most popular versions of religion for a long time is televised religion, when you think about people's exposure that aren't religious to religion, what do they hear about? Scandals. They hear about, the pedophilia in the Catholic Church. They hear about money that's being inappropriately spent. And so the versions that they get are like, oh, this is just bullshit to control people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't hear enough about like genuine transformation stories and like why this is valuable.
And why people don't is because we're here in the world, and the world don't want to spread that kind of gospel, because then that would be something good to talk about. And then Christ wouldn't have as much of a leg to stand on. And it's just a way to try to corrupt people's minds. This next part here is like the gift of faith that Chad's kind of going through here. So I wanted to talk about that here.
Experienced is so influenced by our upbringing, by our perspective, by our memory, by so many factors. That's why I hate seeing these guys, these former military guys attacking each other, man. About he did this and he did that and he didn't do this and he didn't do that. I'm like, some guys might flat out be, telling a fib. I get that, right? That's not good. But man, so many people are recounting experiences that they've had in their life and their service and whatever it may be. And like all of that is shaped by their unique perspective and the way that their mind works. And, it's like, I can't attack a dude. I can't attack a dude for that. You know what I mean? So if we're saying that the Bible is truly the perfect revelation of God to man, not come from man in some way, it was wrought by God through man. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And that is the ultimate truth where it all started from. It's just trying to like sift through the tongue of man to get to whatever that truth is.
Yeah.
And
don't worry about it. Make a relationship with Jesus. Pray about it. Go on your journey and find a way. That's the only way you can do it, Joe. It's really the only way.
And then this thing that will ultimately, unless some insane technology comes about, we'll never know. We'll never be able to go back in time and figure that out.
Now we're going to know. We'll have everything we want to know will be answered.
That's a problem, ain't it?
It's an issue.
I talked to my buddy about that while I was sitting there with him. Your physical body here on earth, your spirit basically goes into the presence of the Almighty. You don't want to be unclothed. And like yeah, man, I forgot the original question.
This sort of leap of faith that you have to make.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's what I was talking to him about. I was like, right now, Mr. Don, there is an element of faith in what you believe. Like, and that's a problem. Like it's hard to explain that. It's hard. That's a problem. But when you leave here, like you're no longer going to have to live by faith. Like once you get there, you're going to know you made it.
Yeah.
Like it's all, but it goes back to what you were saying. Like we'll never know. There's always going to be an element of faith.
It's important because we have to have that faith. Without it, it's the trusting. And if you have an animal or something, and for it to trust you, it has to love you unconditionally. And your dog just loves you anyway. Every time you come home, he loves you as much as he did the day before. But the faith part, it has to be there because how am I trying to say it? You're just stepping out on a limb to something you're not sure about. So you have to build yourself up to it. And what Joe and Chad's trying to tell him here is it is a little scary. It is.
In what we believe. Like there has to be, as it pertains to things of God, there's always going to be a certain element of faith. That very faith is the gift that the Lord gives to his elect. The ability to believe.
Yeah.
Like that is the gift, that element of faith. That's the gift that I treasure more than anything else that I have in my life. But it's still tough. Remember I told you I have doubts sometimes?
Of course. Well, right? That's where the skeptical person steps in and says, well, this is ridiculous. It's all based on, you have to believe in faith because logically it doesn't make any sense.
But here's something else too, Joe. You know, some people think whatever there. It seems like to me, you're a smart guy. Wouldn't they come up with a better story than the hero dies in the end? He dies, all these people were crushed, and then there's an earthquake, and people were popping out of the ground, and it says he's risen from the dead. And why wouldn't the story told like he come and 100,000 angels swooped down on earth and took Christ back up to his royal home in heaven with his Father? Why didn't it go that way? Why didn't we have a cool story? Why would anybody want to tell the story of the guy that's born just to, some regular normal people in a barn trying to hide so he's not killed because of what was going on, the temperature in the land at the time to kill this firstborn? Why would that story just don't seem like, if you're trying to sell a book, it don't sound like a good story to me. And it's the #1 bestseller in the world, the Bible.
And so this is the problem with that, is that you're making this assumption that the human mind is flawless and that it can perceive truth regardless of your learned experiences, regardless of what you know about the world. You could see truth, even if it's a completely unique thing. Mm-hmm. You can know that it doesn't exist. Like there's no way. There's no way And
yeah, I know. And one day you will too. You'll figure it out. Just keep reading and trying and learning, because anything that you're going to be good at, it takes time, and you have to study it and you have to work at it. Nobody just picks anything up and just takes perfectly to it. Now, some people will take to it quicker than others, but in general, you still have to work at it.
If it is a puzzle, what greater puzzle than you have to believe something that defies logic? Like if you're going to demand faith of someone, you would deliver it in a way that the only way to buy into this is that you have to get past your logic. You have to abandon it.
But it's easier to believe people come from slime and ooze from a pond, or everything come from nothing. That's easy to believe, right? Just evolution, Big Bang Theory, all that, primordial goo sliding and growing legs and then, somehow becoming man, millions of years later. No.
And you have to believe something that you've been told is impossible. But my answer to that
you're going to make a good preacher one day, man.
My answer to that is, isn't everything impossible? This is the problem with that. The problem is, Terence McKenna once said that science only demands of you one miracle. That's the Big Bang. If you believe in one miracle, everything else it says it can explain with materialist science.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
If the miracle of the Big Bang is way crazier to believe than the resurrection of a human being.
Thank you.
Joe. That.
Joe's growing and coming around, huh? What about you there? It is hard to go along with it. But once you really are in and there's just things that happen to me. And I was talking to a young guy earlier this morning that's close to, known him his whole life. Just having a conversation about this kind of stuff. Yeah. So many things in my life has happened for a reason. And this Project 77 that I've been doing now, Bible study stuff for a while, there's no way that things are accidental or you get put in these positions, or I'm talking to somebody right now about something, and if they're not sure about where they're at in their salvation or whatever, if you just make them curious. And the way all this thing works, man, it's just hard for me not to believe, because I've seen it personally.
It seems more logical. It seems more plausible. People live, people die, maybe people come back to life. I'll buy that more than the entire universe is smaller than the head of a pin, and through no process that anybody's adequately explained, becomes everything. And maybe
he said it, I didn't. I mean, that's logically thinking. Like, how do you believe that? That's hard to believe. We've heard stories of people coming back from the dead. You know, back in the day in Old English territories, I've read stories and just studying history and that type of stuff. You know, the one where they put the bell above the grave and the string, they tied it to their finger and it was through a hole in the casket. And they had these guys that would walk these crypt keepers that would walk the graveyards at night and listen for the bell to ring. They buried people alive because they thought he was dead. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that they have buried people alive on mistake. That's happened. But to believe that we come from nothing and then somehow ooze comes from the water, where did the water come from? Where did you see what I'm saying? That is easier to believe. You're just thinking logically, not spiritually. You're just not a Christian. You don't really believe in nothing. That's pretty good, Joe.
Continual process. It happens over and over and over again.
Well, you like to look into all this stuff. My wife sent me a YouTube video or something the other day. Apparently they saw something with one of these telescopes or something that they look into the cosmos with that has completely like destroyed all their evidence of their theology behind the Big Bang.
Yes. James Webb Telescope. Yeah. They're finding, they think that some of what they were interpreting as the initial signals of the Big Bang are not that. That not only that, but the birth of the universe is far older than they think it was, because they're finding galaxies that are far too large and formed, that are so far away that they would have had to form far quicker than they thought was possible from the moment of the Big Bang to then. So this is extended in some people's eyes, the birth of the universe to 22 plus billion years old instead of 13.7 or whatever it is. So they think it's possibly even older. But then there's also questions like the Big Bang itself might not be correct. You might be just interpreting the signals of this part of the space, part of the universe that we just can't see yet, because we don't have the ability to see further than what the James Webb Telescope can do. So as we develop better and better tools, with each iteration, you're going to
we don't know.
Have a much deeper understanding of the vastness of the universe itself, which may ultimately be infinite. And Roger Penrose thinks that not only was there not just a Big Bang, that there's a continual cycle of these.
I kind of think that
things that happen for eternity, that there's never been a beginning.
Go ahead and wrap your mind around that.
All right. That's good enough on that. So we covered our bases on this stuff here. And to end it, I guess with the Big Bang and that kind of idea, we can wrap it up with this. Big Bang Theory, it's not just start as a physical bang. It did not stand to come from material objects. It's a cosmological type thing. It's formed from energy, not from any consciousness, but from the power of God. So how could it be physical when God, the creator, and the things that it's holy, it's from another dimension? When we can't understand it as humans, it'll only be understood in the after. And we just can't really put no age on it. And there's just some things we're going to have to know what is and what ain't faith. We do know that we're here because we can see us all here. So that's kind of that. I enjoyed their topics and they went through. Joe explains how people see a lot of Christians because what they see on TV. Chad gives out good points about how Christ gave his life for us. And then Joe comes back and talks about how people and the word and how people have seemed to always mess things up. And Chad re-edifies that, says, sure, you're right. People do mess things up. And I have to say that he should have added, that's why Christ came. It was because people do mess it up. People always make the huge mistakes of just sometimes we just overthink stuff. And that's why, he talks about the elite being fooled. Because they're just thinking too much about it, man. Just way too much thought. All right, so that's enough for this one. Appreciate you coming by, hanging out. Live reaction, Joe Rogan and Chad Wright, going through a few different topics. I thought it was very interesting. I did. I enjoyed it. I wanted to share it with you guys and talk about what it did for me and where it put my thought process. And that's what this is. It's Project 77. And that's just where I'm at. And what we all kind of are dealing with every day. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. At least like the video. Even if you don't want to subscribe, you can hit the notification bell and let you know when I come on live, because it's through the week sometimes, but it's kind of random sometimes, man. I just get stuff on my mind and I just want to come on here and share. So make sure you hit the notification bell and we'll put this video out probably later today. And if you need anything from me, holler at me. I'll be glad to help in any way, praying for me and you, anybody else, what's got going on. God's good. So keep your heads clear and your heart full of God for sure always. Thank you for joining me here on Project 77 today. All right, we'll catch you later. Thank you.